The alien scout ship drifted silently at the edge of the star system. Its hull was thin, smooth, and covered in glowing symbols that shifted with quiet purpose. Inside, the crew moved with calm confidence. They had done this mission thousands of times before. Scan, record, report, leave. This system was marked as low priority. A yellow star, scattered asteroids, and one blue planet far inside the habitable zone. Primitive signals had been detected long ago. Weak radio waves, simple satellites, nothing dangerous. Commander Zealous stood before the main display, his eyes focused on the slow-moving dots of light. He felt no excitement, only routine. Begin long-range scan, he ordered. The ship's sensors spread outward like invisible hands. Energy waves passed through empty space, collecting data from everything they touched. Asteroids, dust, radiation, all harmless. Then the sensors touched something else. A sudden spike appeared on the screen. "Commander," said the sensor officer, her voice sharp now. "Multiple large objects detected. Not planetary, not natural." Zealous leaned forward. "How many?" he asked. The officer paused. Her fingers moved faster. 100. No, more. 200 large metal structures. A quiet tension filled the room. "Position?" Zealous asked. "Hidden within the asteroid belt." They were masking their signatures. That was unusual. No known species in this region used advanced stealth. Zealous felt the first hint of curiosity. "Visual feed," he said. The screen shifted. What appeared made several crew members freeze. Massive ships rested between rocks like sleeping giants. Their shapes were blocky and heavy, unlike elegant alien designs. Thick armor plates covered their bodies. Large cannons were visible even without magnification. Blue lights ran along their undersides like calm, steady veins. "These ships are crude," one officer said slowly. "But very large." Zealous nodded. "Primitive builders often rely on size. Power readings are high," another officer added. "Much higher than expected for this region." Zealous waved a claw. "Overbuilt reactors. Inefficient technology." He straightened and said calmly, "Identify the species." The answer came quickly: humans. A few low sounds passed through the crew. Some knew the name. Most did not. "Records?" Zealous asked. "Minimal," the officer replied. "A young species. Recently reached faster than light travel. Limited interstellar presence." Zealous relaxed. "Then this fleet is likely defensive. Poorly trained. Probably outdated systems." He turned slightly. "Transmit basic scan pulse. Let them know they are observed." The pulse was sent. Nothing happened. No movement. No response. They remained silent. The officer said. Zealous frowned. "Strange. Increased scan strength." The second scan was stronger, more focused. It pushed deep into the human ships, reading power flow, weapons, command signals for 3 seconds. Everything was normal. Then alarms exploded across the bridge. Red symbols flashed. Data streams scrambled. "What is happening?" Zealous demanded. "Commander, our systems." The officer stopped. "They are being flooded with feedback." The scan display twisted into static. Control panels flickered. "Shut down external sensors." Zealous shouted, not responding. Another officer cried out, "Navigation is drifting. We're losing position lock." Zealous' eyes widened. This was impossible. A scan should never cause damage. Then the human ships moved. One by one, they powered up. The asteroid field lit with blue and white light. Engines hummed with deep, controlled force. Formation lines snapped into place with perfect timing. "These are not defensive ships," someone whispered. The human fleet turned as one, not toward the scout ship, but toward the rest of the alien armada hidden farther out. "Commander," the communications officer said, "Fear clear now. We are receiving a signal. On screen." Zealous said tightly. The display cleared for a moment. A single human symbol appeared. Simple, clean. Then text followed. "We know you're there." Before anyone could respond, the scout ship shuddered. Power dropped across half the systems. Weapons went offline. Shields collapsed as if they were never there. Emergency protocols. Zealous shouted. To late. The scout ship's engines died completely. Outside, human ships advanced slowly, confidently. Like predators who already knew the outcome, Zealous stared at the screen, disbelief flooding his mind. This was not a weak species. This was not a mistake. This was war, and it had started the moment they chose to skin humanity. The alien scout ship drifted powerless, its lights dim and unstable. Inside, The crew struggled to regain even the smallest control. Commander Zealous stood frozen, his mind racing. In all his cycles of service, this had never happened. Not once. "Restore internal power," he ordered, forcing calm into his voice. "We are trying." An engineer replied, "But the systems are locked. Something external is holding them down." Zealous clenched his claws. External control, without physical contact, was advanced warfare, far beyond what a young species should possess. Outside the view screen, the human ships moved closer. They did not rush. They did not fire. They simply advanced, steady and confident. As if time itself favored them, a signal arrived again. This time, it was not text. It was a voice. Calm, clear. "Human, alien vessel," the voice said. "This is Human Fleet Command. You have entered a restricted military zone. You are currently disabled. Do not attempt further scans or movement." The bridge fell silent. Zealous stepped forward. "Open a channel," he said. A delay followed. Then the channel opened. "This is Commander Zealous of the 3rd Observation Armada," he said. "Your aggression is noted." "We were conducting standard reconnaissance," the human voice answered without emotion. "You penetrated classified systems using invasive scans. That is considered an act of war." Zealous hesitated. "You are mistaken. Scans are non-hostile. Not the way you did it," the human replied. "You didn't just look. You reached." Before Zealous could respond, another officer shouted, "Commander, long-range sensors are coming back online for 1 second. 1 second. Zealous snapped. "That's all we have. Show me." The main display flickered. What appeared made Zealous' breath stop. The rest of the alien armada was no longer hidden. Human ships surrounded them from all directions. Hundreds of vessels, previously masked, now fully revealed. Some were massive carriers. Others were sharp, fast-moving strike ships. Drones filled the space between them like swarming insects. "How did they get behind us?" an officer whispered. Zealous knew the answer, and it terrified him. "They let us come in first," he said quietly. "We were bait." The display went dark again. On the human flagship, deep within the fleet, Admiral Jonathan Reyes watched calmly. He stood with his hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the tactical map. Around him, officers worked in focused silence. "No weapons fire," Reyes said. "Maintain pressure only." "Yes, Admiral," several voices answered. A young officer looked up. "Sir, the alien scout commander is requesting clarification." Reyes nodded slightly. "Allow limited communication." The channel opened again. "Commander Zealous," Reyes said, "your fleet is surrounded. Your systems are compromised. This is your only warning. Withdraw immediately and do not return." Zealous' voice came back strained. "You disable our technology with ease. Why not destroy us?" Reyes did not answer immediately because, he said finally, "You didn't attack first. You assumed. And you were wrong." Zealous felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Not fear alone. Respect. Before he could reply, alarms blared again. "Commander," an officer cried, "the rest of the armada is losing power too." Across space, alien ships went dark one after another. Not explosions, not damage, just silence. Engines dead, weapons offline. Total shutdown. The human fleet held position. No cheering. No advance. Just control. Zealous understood then. This was not raw strength. This was planning. Preparation. A species that expected threats long before meeting them. "Human commander," Zealous said slowly, "you have proven your dominance. We will withdraw." Reyes nodded once. "You'll be escorted out." As if on command, power slowly returned to the alien scout ship. Minimal. Enough to move. Enough to leave. Human ships opened a clear path through the stars. As the scout ship turned away, Zealous looked back one last time. The human fleet did not pursue. They simply watched, silent and unshaken. When the alien armada finally regrouped far from the system, panic spread through their ranks. Commanders argued. Analysts failed to explain what happened. How could humans counter systems we perfected over millennia? One demanded. Zealous stood apart, silent. Because, he thought, they weren't just defending space. They were defending survival, back in human space. Admiral Reyes turned from the display. "Mark this encounter," he said. "First contact, confirmed hostile potential." An officer asked quietly, "Sir, do you think they'll come back?" Reyes allowed himself a thin smile. "They always do, and next time, humanity would be ready. The alien armada retreated in silence. Ships moved slowly, damaged not in metal, but in pride. Inside the command vessel, the atmosphere was heavy. No one spoke unless ordered. Systems that once responded instantly now worked with caution, as if afraid. Commander Zealous stood before the council chamber hours later. The chamber was vast, filled with towering figures from many species. Their bodies were different, but their expressions were the same: shock, anger, fear. You allowed a primitive species to disable an entire armada, one counselor said coldly. Zealous did not lower his gaze. Humans are not primitive. A low murmur spread through the chamber. They hit a fleet larger than ours, Zealous continued. They allowed us to scan them. They let us believe we were safe. Then they turned our own technology against us. Another counselor leaned forward. Impossible. No young species develops counter-skin warfare so fast. They didn't develop it fast. Zealous replied. They developed it early. The chamber fell quiet. They expected enemies before they met us. He said. They built their fleets not for exploration, but for survival. The council did not like that answer. Far away, in human-controlled space, preparation had already begun. Admiral Reyes stood inside a secure briefing room. Around him were fleet captains, engineers, and intelligence officers. Large displays showed alien symbols, fleet movements, and translated data. They are regrouping, an intelligence officer said. Their council is divided. Some want retaliation. Others want isolation. Reyes nodded. Fear creates delay. Delay creates mistakes, a captain spoke. Sir, shall we strike first? Reyes shook his head. No, not yet. He turned to another display. It showed human colonies, civilian stations, trade routes. They scanned us because they feared what they didn't understand. Reyes said, if we attack now, we prove them right. Let them come. Days passed. Then weeks. The galaxy watched in silence. Alien patrols increased near human borders. Long-range probes tested the edges of space. Humans allowed them. Every probe was tracked. Every signal was studied. On a distant alien warship, Commander Zealous received new orders. You will lead a limited strike group, the council ordered. You will test human defenses. This time, do not scan. Do not hesitate. Zealous felt a cold weight settle inside him. He knew what humans were capable of now. But the council demanded proof. The strike group moved fast. Smaller ships, faster engines, designed to overwhelm before humans could react. They crossed into human space at the edge of a quiet system. At first, nothing happened. No response. An officer said, no fleet detected. Zealous frowned. To quiet. Then space itself seemed to shift. Human ships appeared without warning. Not from hyperspace. Not from warp. They were already there. Hidden. Waiting. The alien ships opened fire instantly. Bright energy beams cut through space. Missiles followed. Human shields flared, but hell. Then the humans answered, not with one weapon, with many. Precise fire struck alien engines first. Then weapons. Then command arrays. Each shot was controlled, efficient. Cold alien ships began to fall apart, drifting uselessly. This is not battle, Zealous whispered. This is execution, Commander. An officer shouted. They are inside our systems again. Zealous clenched his claws. Full retreat. But this time, the humans did not stop. A human voice filled every channel. You crossed the line. The alien flagship shuddered as a human strike ship locked onto it. A beam of concentrated energy cut cleanly through its hull. No explosion. No warning. Just silence. Zealous' ship barely escaped. Only a handful of vessels survived. Back on the council world, panic erupted. They attacked us. They destroyed a strike group. They warned us. Arguments turned to fear. Meanwhile, humanity moved. Human fleets spread outward, not to conquer, but to protect. Defensive lines formed around colonies. Supply routes were fortified. Every system became a trap. Admiral Reyes watched reports come in. They tested us, he said quietly. Now they know. An officer asked, Sir, what if they unite against us? Reyes looked at the stars. Then they'll learn the same lesson again. He said, humans do not start wars. He paused. But we finish them, far away. Commander Zealous stared into space from the remains of his ship. He finally understood the truth. Humanity was not dangerous because of its weapons. Humanity was dangerous because it remembered. And it prepared. The war had truly begun. The galaxy changed after the failed. Strike. Alien worlds that once felt safe now felt exposed. Trade routes slowed. Border systems were evacuated. Messages moved faster than fleets, spreading fear with every transmission. Humans had not chased the retreating ships far, but the damage was already done. They had proven something terrifying. They could choose when to fight. On the Alien Council world, emergency sessions never ended. Representatives argued without pause. Some demanded a full alliance war. Others warned that humanity was not a normal enemy. Commander Zeleth was summoned again. "You survived another human encounter," a counselor said sharply. "Speak." Zeleth stood still. "They waited for us." They did not react. They anticipated. A different counselor struck the floor with a limb. "Enough fear. We outnumber them 10-1. Zeleth turned toward that voice. "Then why are we the ones retreating?" Silence followed. "They don't need more ships," Zeleth continued. "They don't need larger weapons. They fight like this is not their first war. Like they already lost something once and refused to lose again." The council dismissed him soon after. His words were not welcome, but they were remembered. In human space, the mood was different. Calm, focused. Human fleets moved with quiet purpose. Engineers worked without rest. Old shipyards came back online. New ones appeared near distant stars. Admiral Reyes stood before a room of commanders. "They are forming an alliance," an intelligence officer said. "At least 5 major species. Combined fleets will be massive." Reyes nodded. "Expected?" a captain asked. "Do we pull back?" "No," Reyes said. "We tighten." He tapped the display. Defensive zones glowed around human systems. Each zone overlapped another. Every path forward was watched. "They think numbers win wars," Reyes said. "We know better." The alien alliance moved at last. Thousands of ships crossed into human-controlled space. They advanced as one, confident in size and firepower. This time, there was no stealth, no caution. They wanted to crush humanity in one strike. At the edge of a red star system, the first clash began. Alien weapons fired in waves. Space burned with energy. Asteroids shattered. Human forward defenses absorbed the first assault. Shields bending but not breaking. Then something unexpected happened. Human ships did not return fire immediately. They retreated. The alien fleet pushed forward eagerly. That was the mistake. Space around them distorted. Fields activated. Invisible nets closed. Human trap systems came online. Alien ships lost formation. Navigation failed. Communication broke into noise. Human ships reappeared everywhere. Not in front, inside. Strike craft emerged from hidden carriers. Drones swarmed like living things. Precision fire cut through key targets. Alien commanders shouted orders, but nothing responded as expected. "This is chaos." One screamed. "No," a human officer said calmly on an open channel. "This is control. Human weapons hit supply ships first, then command vessels, then the largest warships." The alien fleet began to break apart. Some ships tried to flee. Others fired wildly. Many simply went dark. From a distant position, Zeleth watched through shared alliance feeds. His chest tightened. He recognized the pattern now. Humans were not reacting to the battle. They had designed it. As the surviving alien ships pulled back, the human fleet did not chase far. Again, they let them go. The alliance called it a draw, but no one believed that. Across the galaxy, smaller alien powers began to withdraw support. Trade partners went silent. Allies questioned promises of safety. Humanity had not destroyed the alliance. It had broken its confidence. Back aboard his ship, Zeleth recorded a private log. "Humans do not fight to conquer," he said. "They fight to end threats. They build walls, then wait behind them. When you attack, you are already inside the trap on Earth." Admiral Reyes looked at the casualty reports. They were not light, but they were acceptable. "They'll try again," an officer said. "Yes," Reyes replied, "but not like this." He turned to a sealed display. Symbols appeared that only a few humans had ever seen. "Begin phase to preparation," he ordered. The officer hesitated. "Sir, that system hasn't been used since." "I know," Reyes said. "That's why it works." Far away, the Alien Council received disturbing intelligence. Human fleets were changing formation. New ships were appearing. Designs they had never seen before. Bigger, heavier, quieter. Commander Zeleth felt a deep sense of dread. The humans were done waiting, and the next time the stars lit up, the galaxy would understand something it had never learned before. What happens when a species that survived itself decides to stop holding back? The Alien Alliance did not sleep after the failed assault. Emergency messages crossed the stars without pause. Fleets regrouped. Command structures were rewritten. Old leaders were replaced by desperate ones. Fear had changed everything. Commander Zeleth was no longer ignored. He was called again, this time into a smaller chamber. Fewer counselors, harder eyes. Human fleets are advancing, one said. Not into our space, but around it. Zeleth nodded slowly. They are shaping the battlefield. Another counselor hissed. Explain. They are cutting paths, Zeleth said. Not supply lines, not worlds. Choices. Soon, every move we make will lead where they want. Silence followed. A younger council member asked, "Why don't they finish us now?" Zeleth answered honestly, "Because we are still arguing. In human space, phase two had begun. Ships unlike any seen before moved out of deep docks. Their hulls were darker, layered with adaptive armor. Their engines made almost no detectable signature. They did not travel in fleets. They traveled alone, or in pairs. Ghost ships. Admiral Reyes watched them leave one by one. These vessels are not for battle, an engineer said beside him. They are for denial. Reyes nodded. No enemy should feel safe moving, anywhere. The first effect was subtle. Alien listening posts went silent. Long-range relays stopped responding. Automated defense platforms powered down without damage, drifting uselessly in space. No explosions, no warnings, just absence. Then the Alliance lost contact with an entire border system. No distress call, no wreckage, nothing. Panic followed. Fleets were redirected to investigate, but when they arrived, they found human markers already present. Not occupation forces, beacons. Simple messages repeated across all frequencies. This system is under human protection. Alien commanders hesitated. Attacking meant escalation. Ignoring meant surrendering space. They argued. Humans moved again. A major Alliance supply convoy vanished mid-transit. Not destroyed, taken, ships and crews captured intact. The message that followed was short. Logistics win wars. Commander Zeleth watched the reports with growing dread. Humans were not just fighting fleets anymore. They were dismantling the idea of war itself. Alliance morale collapsed. Some species withdrew completely. Others closed borders and declared neutrality. Trust between allies shattered. On a distant alien capital, protests filled the streets. Leaders were blamed. Councils dissolved. Emergency powers failed. The Alliance was still massive, but it was no longer united. In a quiet moment, Zeleth sent a private transmission to human command. Not as a commander, as a witness. "You are not invaders," he said. "You are erasers. You remove options." The reply came hours later. From Admiral Reyes, "We learned that the hard way." Then came the turning point. A desperate alien faction launched an unauthorized attack. Not against a fleet, against a human colony. The strike was fast and brutal. Civilian stations were hit. Lives were lost. The galaxy froze. On Earth, the news reached Admiral Reyes in silence. He listened. He read names. He watched images. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady. "Phase 3, he said. The room went still. An officer asked quietly, "Rules of engagement?" Reyes looked up. No more restraint. Across human space, alarms sounded. Fleets that had waited in shadow powered up fully. Weapons long sealed were unlocked. Human ships began moving together again. Not defensively, purposefully. Commander Zeleth felt it before he saw it. A shift in the flow of information. A tightening. Humanity had changed posture. They were no longer preventing war. They were ending it. And the species that had once believed humans were weak finally understood the truth. Human mercy had limits, and those limits had just been crossed. The galaxy felt different when Phase 3 began. Not louder, not brighter. Heavier human fleets moved openly now. No more hiding, no more waiting. Their ships traveled in perfect coordination, crossing systems with purpose and speed. Signals were no longer masked. Humanity wanted to be seen. Commander Zeleth watched from a secure observation station far from the front lines. His people had pulled him out of direct command, officially, to protect a valuable witness. In truth, because he had been right too many times, reports flooded in. Human fleets were not attacking everything. They were choosing. Alliance command centers were hit first. One by one, they went dark, not destroyed from orbit, but shut down from inside. Human boarding units moved fast and clean. Leaders were captured alive. Data cores were removed. Ships were left intact, but powerless. Then came the shipyards. Massive alien construction hubs that had taken centuries to build stopped functioning in hours. Power grids failed. Assembly lines froze. Stored fleets became useless metal shells. Human weapons struck with precision. No wasted shots. No random destruction. They are cutting our future, an alien strategist said over a broken channel. Not our present. Zealot closed his eyes. He already knew. On the human flagship, Admiral Reyes watched the campaign unfold. His face showed no satisfaction. Only focus. Civilian worlds? An officer asked. Untouched. Reyes replied. Always. Human fleets bypassed planets filled with life. They did not bombard cities. They did not starve populations. Instead, they surrounded and waited. Alien fleets that tried to respond were intercepted before they could form. Their systems failed the moment humans engaged. The same silent collapse, the same helpless drift. Across the Alliance, surrender messages began to appear. Some were formal. Some were desperate. Some were ignored. Then the humans struck the heart. The Central Alliance Command Station, a structure larger than moons, hidden behind layers of defense, went offline in less than 10 minutes. No explosion was recorded. Just silence. When the lights came back, human ships filled every angle of space around it. A single broadcast went out across the galaxy. This time, it was not a warning. It was a statement. This war is over. Many alien leaders wanted to resist. Pride demanded it. But their fleets were grounded. Their systems watched. Their movements predicted before orders were even given. They signed. One by one, Commander Zealot was present when the final agreement was transmitted. He listened as species that once ruled entire regions accepted limits, inspections, and enforced peace zones. Humans did not demand territory. They demanded distance. Borders were redrawn. Neutral zones expanded. Human space became protected space. When it ended, the galaxy did not cheer. It exhaled. In a private message, Zealot finally spoke to Admiral Reyes directly. You could have erased us. Zealot said, why stop now? Reyes answered without hesitation, because if we erase everyone who threatens us, he said, we become the threat. Zealot considered that. What happens next? He asked. Reyes looked out at the stars before replying. Now, he said, we make sure no one ever feels the need to test us again. As human fleets slowly returned to defensive positions, the galaxy adjusted to a new reality. Humanity had not conquered it. Humanity had disciplined it. And in that discipline, something unexpected happened. For the first time in galactic history, the stars were quiet, but deep in human space, hidden systems remained active. Ships stayed ready. Records were updated. Lessons were stored, because humans knew something no other species truly understood. Peace was not permanent. It was maintained. And if it ever failed again, humanity would not hesitate a second time. The final chapter was coming, not with fire, but with consequence. The war did not end with celebrations. It ended with silence. Across the galaxy, fleets remained docked. Weapons stayed powered down. Trade routes slowly reopened, careful and controlled. Every species watched human space with the same thought in their minds. Do not provoke them. Commander Zealot stood on a balcony of the neutral station where the final agreements were enforced. For the first time in his long service, there was no order waiting, no fleet to command, only reflection. Humans had changed the rules, not by domination, but by clarity. A small human delegation arrived at the station. No battleships, no escort fleet, just a single cruiser and a handful of officials. It was a quiet show of confidence. Zealot was invited to observe. He watched as humans met with former enemies calmly. There were no threats, no raised voices, only firm boundaries and clear terms. Human space would remain closed. Human colonies would be protected. Any future reconnaissance would be announced or not attempted at all. The galaxy agreed. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes prepared to step down from active command. The war had aged him, though few would ever notice. He walked through the command halls one last time, passing officers who had followed him through impossible choices. A young commander approached him. Sir, she asked, do you think they truly understand now? Reyes paused before answering. They don't need to understand us, he said. They only need to understand the cost. On a distant alien world, council records were updated. Humanity was no longer listed as a developing species. It was listed as a stabilizing force. Schools would teach the war not as a defeat, but as a lesson. Analysts would study human strategy for generations. New doctrines were written with one line repeated again and again. Do not test humanity. Commander Zeleth returned to his people as something new. Not a fleet commander, a messenger. He spoke of human patience, of restraint stronger than fear, of weapons designed not to destroy worlds, but to end wars before they consumed them. Many listened. Some did not, but none forgot. Years passed. Human ships were seen less often, but never disappeared. Their presence became a constant, like gravity, invisible, but always felt, and slowly something changed. Pirate empires collapsed without explanation. Border conflicts ended before they began. Aggressive powers found their systems failing at critical moments, forcing negotiation instead of war. Humanity did not rule the galaxy, but the galaxy moved differently around them. On a quiet evening, Admiral Reyes looked up at the night sky from Earth for the first time in years. He was no longer in uniform. No screens, no alarms, just stars. He knew what waited beyond them. Watchful allies, careful rivals, old enemies who now chose caution. Humanity had survived its own history of war, pain, and loss. It had learned early that strength without control led to ruin. So when the galaxy came knocking, humanity did not answer with rage. It answered with preparation. Far beyond human space, a young alien officer studied ancient records. The first contact, the scan, the moment everything went dark. He closed the file and whispered to himself, almost in awe, "They didn't attack us when they could." The stars outside his window were calm, because somewhere out there, humanity was watching, and that knowledge alone was enough to keep the galaxy at peace for now.